For this entire theory, I want you to keep in mind Naruto and what he represents for the Boruto story. The embodiment of love. I made a post explaining how love can cause suffering and how characters who can overcome this suffering will be that much closer to ascending in a healthy manner. I talked about characters who will fall into obsession and try to force ascension in an unhealthy manner. Examples being Sarada/Mitsuki, who have overcome, and Code/Kawaki, who are still suffering. There are characters, however, who have found some sort of bypass for this progression. A hack, you could say. Otsutsuki and then Shinju. Otsutsuki forces their ascension by giving into their desires and gluttonizing the chakra fruits until they hit ascension. The Shinju tries to overcome the suffering of love through devouring the individuals they are linked to. Almost like deleting the problem as a machine would do. I want to talk about Kawaki and how he's transforming into Ishiki and how this could possibly lead to him achieving Ishiki's goal. A goal Ishiki could not achieve, to become an Otsutsuki god. Closer to the beginning, Kawaki has always got hammered into his head by Ishiki that he was empty, his name literally meaning dryness by translation. This affected Kawaki, as much as he rejected Ishiki. Those words got to Kawaki at least subconsciously. Coupled with the fact he was taken away from the only family he had who was still abusive to him, Kawaki truly was empty. His home life abuse and Kara's abuse lead to Kawaki casually talking about ending his life on a daily basis. Cause Kawaki honestly lost his meaning in his life, with Ishiki, of course, trying to convince him the meaning in his life was to become his karmic vessel. This all changed when he met Naruto, with all the love and affection Naruto gave to Kawaki. Yes, it took a while, but we ourselves know that Naruto has a way with people, and not only did he fill Kawaki's void empty of love, but Kawaki ended up latching onto Naruto to the point of obsession. So with that being said, there are 4 stages of Kawaki I want to discuss that are signs of him transforming into Ishiki Otsutsuki. Stage 1. Ishiki's karma. Obviously, with Ishiki's DNA and genetics being inserted onto Kawaki, this is not only a symbolic representation of Kawaki becoming Ishiki, but also it's a power-up for Kawaki to eventually utilize his powers too. He has Ishiki's powers. Stage 2. Ishiki's mindset of power. Ishiki and the Otsutsuki in general, ever since the Boruto movie, have been represented as individuals who choose to acquire power through shortcuts like the chakra fruit and pills Momoshiki demonstrated. This mindset gives the Otsutsuki a god complex, which Kawaki doesn't necessarily have. However, Kawaki did inherit the mindset of needing power in the form of karma, and in recent chapters forcing Amato to unlock his limiters in order to achieve his goals. Kawaki fully adopted this mindset as a catalyst from the battle between Code and Borishiki. When Kawaki had no choice but to will the karma back into his possession, he adopted this mindset. Ishiki implanted the idea that Kawaki was empty and needed the power of the karma, finally paid off at this moment. Kawaki had given into Ishiki's brainwashing subconsciously. He thinks like Ishiki. Stage 4. Ishiki's goal. Even further down theory. I believe Kawaki will hit a point where he is running out of options. He'll be put into a corner and won't be able to keep the world safe, and by the world, I mean Naruto's home. If there comes a threat that forces Kawaki into this kind of corner, I believe he will then draw the conclusion that he needs to devour a chakra fruit. This is my speculation, but I believe Ishiki's true goal when he came to Earth wasn't just to devour the fruit, but devour a fruit that had Shirbai's genetics fused with it. Ishiki probably felt this was a shortcut to godhood. I also believe omnipotence is being built up to be the endgame power of the series. Ida's version of the ability is most likely watered down. I'm not completely sure how the true ability used by an Otsutsuki god would work, but if it truly alters reality, then I can see Kawaki trying to acquire this power in order to make the ultimate wish to protect Naruto. I'm not saying he's going to achieve this goal, but I feel he will come to this conclusion, similar to Eren Yeager and Aoi. Kawaki now lives like Ishiki. Shirbai's obsession. Shirbai is the one character in the entire franchise that is supposedly obsessed over power and achieve their goals. I made a theory post explaining how I feel this is considered the wrong path and how Shirbai has taken a twisted path towards enlightenment. For one, I don't think he's achieved enlightenment if he did go about things this way. Maybe he's in a different place, but there wouldn't be a lesson in this if he achieved power in this way. Because this is a forced ascension. You can't just force an enlightenment. That's not how it's supposed to work. However, Shirbai somehow ended up being successful. I believe in a sense he's become almost like an anti-Buddha kind of character, a twist or a flip Kishimoto is pulling. I also feel Kawaki is on a similar path as well. The point of this post was to talk about Kawaki's transformation into the very thing he opposed, and that's Ishiki. However, indirectly in doing so, he's developing the Otsutsuki philosophy. Developing that philosophy places him on the same path Shirbai took, a depraved path that ended in complete and total destruction in many lives in the process. Shirbai's path. There is one last question I want to end this post with. Would you consider Shirbai's tale just a myth or the true story? Depending on what you think that answer is, we'll explain who's following Shirbai's path, Boruto or Kawaki. It's just how Shirbai ascended and the path he took to get there is what bothers me. If he did it the way described, then Kawaki is following his path. But if he somehow sprayed and found another path, then this is what Boruto is following. Anyways, thank you for watching.